Hey everybody, it's Irene with Brainstorm Makers, and we are running behind. Not a shock this spring, but today I'm going to plant tomatoes. Now first, let me tell you about last year's tomatoes. It was what we would call a very mixed bag. And by that I mean it was a mixture of success and failure. Now, in general, that's gardening. That's kind of the definition of gardening. You know, if you were to ever have a garden season where everything turned out perfectly, you'd be waiting for that meteor to land on your head, because it almost just doesn't happen. There's always something going on. There's always something that doesn't turn out quite the way you'd like it to. Last year we grew we grew 15 different varieties of tomatoes. Those tomatoes can be divided up into a couple of different types. We always grow some cherry tomatoes. We really like having a bunch of paste tomatoes of some sort, Roma, San Marzano, something like that. Then we also have beefsteak of some sort. So that's our general approach to life in terms of what we grew. Now, as I said, we had 15 different varieties last year. We were experimenting with a bunch of new varieties, new to us varieties, plus some that we'd tried before, with mixed success, and we didn't want to necessarily blame it on the seeds. We wanted to blame it on something we had done. Well, our conclusion was, in one case at least, it was the seeds. When we actually contacted the growers, they went, "Oh, well, did we forget to tell you this? And did we forget to tell you that? And did we forget to tell you this other thing?" Why, yes, you did forget to tell me that. You forgot to tell me that I would have to keep the temperature at night within like 5 degrees in order to make it really happy. And during the day, it should be like within 10 degrees in order to keep it happy. I'm sorry, people who are not growing in a 100%, I mean, if you ever want to see greenhouses, oh my gosh, go on YouTube and look up Dutch greenhouses. We're talking 100% climate controlled greenhouses that operate, 24/7. They're amazing. But that is not the reality for most of us in the United States, especially for home gardeners. They didn't put any of that information on their website. I have to admit, we were really, the expression annoyed is an extreme understatement, because I never would have chosen that variety, if I had known that was a big issue. But be that as it may, we are not growing that variety this year. And I don't think most people at home would try to. We were doing it because they were recommended for both greenhouse use and hydroponic use. They suffered from, I want to say they call it puffiness. It's basically when you have no seeds and no goo in between the quadrants of your tomato. And although we were able to make sauce, the sauce was just okay. When it was mixed with other tomatoes, it was fine. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for fine. I can go buy fine at the grocery store. What we were looking for is that homegrown thing. So what we're doing this year is, as usual, we're growing a collection of different sorts. Now, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm mushing things into the shade here because I don't like keeping my seeds in the sun. So we're growing Gardener's Delight, which is a cherry tomato. We've been growing that for multiple years. We adore it. It does well in the greenhouse, and it also does well in the garden. It produces huge quantities of lovely little tomatoes about that big that are so flavorful. They're just like having a beefsteak, except tiny. And you can do all kinds of evil things to them, and they still do really well. So we're going Gardener's Delight. We're growing Granadero, which is a Roma-style tomato. It is an indeterminate, and that will probably be a mix as to whether it's in here or out in the garden. I've never grown it in the greenhouse, but it has done really well in the garden despite really horrific, really terrible environments in the garden. It survived in straw bales when we had trouble watering them. It survived in dirt. It survived just about everywhere, and it produced huge quantities of luscious, good paste tomatoes. Bella Rosa, which is a round tomato, supposed to be very heavy production, just good all around. That's a determinate. Invincible, which is also a determinate. We in the past have not grown many determinants. This year we're going to push towards doing several determinants. Those will all be outside. We're not going to grow them in here. So Bella Rosa, Invincible, and Grand Marshal. Grand Marshal is a determinant beefsteak style. One of the reasons I've chosen to do some of these determinants is, in general, they have been bred for disease resistance. So they have a good reputation for flavor too. So we're going to see what we can get out of that. We're also going to grow something that was gifted to us. Forget whether it was 2 years ago or a year ago. Anyway, CB at CB's Greenhouse and Garden gifted us some Amanda orange seeds, and they are super, super yummy. They are an orange beefsteak style. They are susceptible to blights and stuff like that because they're your kind of classic heirloom that just has no resistance to anything. But they are good enough that they are worth it as far as we're concerned. So we're going to we may grow some in here. We'll definitely grow some in the garden. Big Beef, which is an F1. That is a beefsteak tomato too. And we were very pleased with that last year. We had some in the greenhouse and in the hydroponics, and we also had some in the garden, and we loved them both places. And another one that's new to us this year is Wisconsin 55, which is a beefsteak, and that is supposed to have some significant disease resistance and stuff like that, so we're going to give it a shot. So I'm going to be planting in multiple different ways today. First thing I'm going to do is plant in dirt. And I have a 1020 seed tray here. That means there's 5 on a row, and 10, I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So it's a 50 cell container. I'm going to be planting seeds in here, and then I'm going to be probably also starting another one of these with Oasis in it. The Oasis is a product used in organic gardening that comes in little blocks. They use bigger blocks of something that they also call Oasis for flower arranging. But I'm going to get going on this. And I'm also going to turn the fan back on because I'm melting. And get a drink of water. First things first, Gardener's Delight. I need to make some signs. Now I have some basic signage made, and what I'm going to have to do is I know I'm going to have to rearrange things as we go on, but that at least gives me some good starts. Okay, 1/6 to 1/4 inch deep. Step 1. Step 2, granaderos. Now for Gardener's Delight, I double planted because they're older seeds. Need lots of these because they're going out in the garden. Those are Bella Rosas. Bella Rosas. These are pelleted. They're a slightly older seed, but not really old. They don't usually recommend you keep pelleted seeds. Although I've actually had pretty good luck with them, but uh-oh. I found it. I have found that putting some perlite, I would prefer a finer perlite than this, but they didn't have any at the store when I was there, to really increase my germination rate, because it acts as a mulch and helps to keep the soil moist. Now I have other things to plant, but I got the tomatoes done, and that was the big crunch. I also did just 2 of the Mamma Mia Rosso peppers. Henry really likes Italian roasting peppers, and that's kind of what they're suggesting these are. So we're going to give them a try and see what happens. We're also growing fewer peppers this year than we did last year. We decided that regular old bell peppers are a waste of time for us. We rarely eat them. So we are going to grow a couple of peppers, but they're going to be roasting peppers and Eastern European frying peppers and things like that. So we're skipping the ones that we can easily pick up at the grocery store. If we decide we need them later in the season, they're short enough season that we can grow. We actually grew them in the fall here last year and they worked great. So, yep, that's what we're doing. So I have some more peppers, hollyhocks, and a bunch of flower seeds. But you don't need to watch me do those. So, hope this helps you get yourself going, figure out how we're choosing our tomatoes and peppers and things like that. We're really trying to make an effort this year to not grow things that we have doubts about, basically. The tomatoes we're growing are either ones that we know we love or that have a pretty good chance of success. That's the best way to put it. We have most everything we need. We actually managed to buy a Thai basil plant the other day in the store. Tried it and liked it so much that now I'm going to go buy some Thai basil seeds, because we're using it to cook with, and the poor little plant, we actually plan our meals based on when we can cut the plant again. So we need to grow more. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because obviously we're going to be doing a ton more. Yeah, there's going to be some pretty cool tomatoes in here. These are peppers. These are something we've never grown before, which is a Roselle Hibiscus. You know the hibiscus tea that they sell in the store for good money? Well, this is where it comes from. And we're only going to grow 2 plants. It's in the same family as okra. So we're not going to put it where our okra was last year. But we expect it to be big, beautiful plants. Whether we get anything off of them or not remains to be seen. But even the concept of big, beautiful plants is not a bad thing. These things can grow 6 feet tall. So we're going to plant them in the far corner of one of the beds and hope for something pretty at least. Hibiscus flowers are beautiful, so that's a good start. So until next time, bye.